Welcome back to another tutorial, my friends. This week I'm painting something for Deborah. Apologies. Deborah is stuck on a particular picture that she wants to paint. So she's asked me if I wouldn't mind showing her on a tutorial how I would paint such a photograph. It's a lovely sunset, pinky colours in the sky. It's quite simple, but I know this will help Deborah a huge amount and give her a bit of confidence to try it. So Deborah, this one is for you. Thank you so much for your support. I sincerely appreciate it. I really do. Let's go and have some fun with this. This is going to be a nice, simple, short tutorial, but using a few colours and creating an impact. So let's have a bit of fun. Don't go anywhere. Right, here we go, my friends. Let's have a bit of fun with this. Deborah, I hope you like this. This is your tutorial. There's a reference photograph. Lovely, simple scene, but a lovely sky. Let's concentrate on the sky. Everything else is fairly straightforward, but the sky, you can really see there's a lot of work in the sky. Well, not a lot of work, but, you know, lots of clouds, that kind of thing. So let's have a bit of fun. I'm going to start with that lovely orange colour. You see that beautiful reddy pinky colour? I'm going to start with that. I'm going to just basically cover my entire sky with that colour. Let's dampen our brushes in some thinners and take some titanium white. Now, there are two ways we can mix this orangey colour. We can use Naples yellow with red, or we can use cadmium yellow with red. It's up to ourselves, really. If you use Naples yellow, you're going to get a very soft, light pinky hue. Let's try cadmium yellow first, and we'll see. A little bit of cadmium yellow and a little bit of cadmium red. Let's see what kind of a colour that gives us, because we can have a bit of fun with this now. Just keep adding little touches of red until you get that colour you like. Now, let me take a look at this. Let's have a look. Now, that's a bit soft, isn't it? A little bit bright. Let's add more cadmium red. And let's take a bit more cadmium yellow. And just keep going until you get the colour you think you want. Okay? Let's have a look at this. There. I think that's the colour. Let's cover the canvas with this. Now, it's quite wet. It's not very dry. There's not a lot of paint in this, so there's a fair bit of thinners in this. And you know me by now, I like to work in thin layers. So I'm going to just put a little bit on and really just drag that colour right across the canvas. The canvas is dry. I don't have any thinners or linseed oil or anything like that on the canvas. It's just a dry canvas. Because it's only a 16 by 12 canvas, so it's not that big an area. You can put a little bit of linseed oil across the canvas if you like. That will help with blending. But I think just for something this small, I think this is just fine as it is. A nice dry canvas. So I'll just keep mixing that colour. I'll take a touch of Naples yellow perhaps, because Naples yellow with cadmium red as well is a beautiful pinky colour. Isn't that lovely? Let's pop that on, scrape it around the canvas, cover that canvas, just cover the white of the canvas. And don't worry about brush marks or anything like that. That's good for the sky. It just gives a bit of movement, I find, in the sky. Let's go again. Let's try some Naples yellow with some cadmium red. Nice soft colour. Bring that on down, all the way down. I don't need to go much further with this because we have all mountains and stuff here. So I'm just going to soften that across. And you can probably see we have a little bit of a line going across. That's just where the paint is kind of drying into the canvas, where the frame of the canvas is behind, showing through. But look, we'll have little clouds and stuff going over that, so not to worry. You can add thicker paint if you like as well. That will help cover those little lines around the edge of the canvas. So I have that colour done. That's looking quite nice. I'm going to start putting some very light greeny blue into this. I can see a lovely colour up there. I'm going to switch brushes. I'm going to move to my medium stubby brush. Make sure it's nice and clean. And I'm going to take some phaylo blue lots of white. And then to that, add a touch of Naples yellow. And that will give you this very soft, greeny, bluey kind of colour. And just keep going until you get the colour you want. Now bear in mind we have an orange, so if I put this greeny colour over an orange, it's going to go sort of muddy. So I want to add a touch of magenta into this. Now, Deborah, you don't have to add this colour if you don't want. I'm going to try it and see how it looks. Because I just like to try different things like this. That little soft kind of a colour up there, little bit popping through here and there as well in the distance. And we could add a touch more magenta to this as it comes down. So we're just making a nice kind of a soft pink, you see that? Just pop a little bit in here and there. And if anything else, it just adds a bit of colour into the painting, isn't it? That's all we're doing. You can make a very simple looking sky quite nice with different shades of colour. Just little touches here and there. This will all help when it's finished. So look, that's fine. That's all we need to do. I don't have to worry about any more of that. I'm going to clean this brush, rub it on some tissue with some turpentine and just give it a good clean. Make sure most of it is gone. Next, let's move on to these lovely, rich clouds. Very simple mix. I'm going to just use phaylo blue. Go into this colour here. Look, just mix it in here. And some magenta. You could maybe try a touch of cadmium red if you want that kind of, you see that kind of soft grey that you have up there. It's not a very rich kind of a mauve colour. It's a grey, isn't it? The clouds, they're more grey. So let's just add plenty of cadmium red into that. We'll take a touch of white. So you have this lovely kind of a grey colour. But again, I don't want this going muddy with my orange that's already there. And that's the thing about oils. You have to bear in mind the colour you're putting on top. If it mixes, it will go a different shade. So what I'm going to do with this is just keep adding plenty of cadmium red. And that will neutralise any green in the mix. So I'm going for like a plummy grey sort of a shade. I think that now is quite nice. I think that will do just nicely. I have my photograph here on the phone. Let's try a little bit first. Okay, I quite like that. That's nice. I'm going to stick with this colour for now. You can see it's a kind of a warm grey. It's a pinkish kind of a grey. It may look a bit blue, but there's not that much blue in the mix. I'm going to just start by darting a couple of clouds across here and there, look. And you don't have to copy the photograph exactly, Deborah, okay? Put your own little clouds in there as well. Mix it up a bit. We come over here, we have one or two over here, look. Nice little ones, just flicking around. One or two tiny ones off in the distance. I'm just going to pop that across with my brush. I'm just sort of scraping very gently with my brush. Just creating some nice cloud. I'm going to take a touch more cadmium red and maybe a touch of Naples yellow into that as well. And I'm kind of changing colours as I go. As it comes down, I want to make it a little bit warmer. So a little bit more of a pinky sort of a colour as they come down. And the fact that the canvas is starting to kind of soak in the paint slightly is a good thing. Let's go up, start popping a few up here. And I'm simply just messing with the brush now, just messing around. You see, just popping it in. Leave the brush kind of just dance around, I find is the easiest way of doing this. Just grab a little bit more red. I might even grab a little touch of black, look. A little touch of black. Just add a little darkness into some of those. Just pop it in. Leave your brush move around and just have a bit of fun. Have a bit of fun with your brush. Don't be shy. A lot of people will be very particular with this and they'll you know, very carefully go along with our clouds like this, and it's too constrained. What you want to do is just be nice and free with the brush. Look, let's just leave some clouds appear in the sky out of nowhere. Just have a bit of fun. And there we go. How was that? That looks quite nice now, doesn't it? Just like that, we've all these clouds done just that quickly. Isn't that amazing? Now I'm going to go back to my big brush. I just want to make sure it's clean. I'm just giving it a quick clean and make sure it's completely dry, because I forgot to bring my fan brush in, or not my fan brush, my soft blender brush in from my studio. It's out in the studio, so I don't have anything soft. I'm just going to go across with this and soften some of these in just to the background a little. I just want to take off those kind of rough edges on some of them. See what I mean? Just kind of glide across some of the clouds with that brush and just soften them out ever so gently. That does create a nice soft sky, doesn't it? Especially down the bottom here. Drag that paint away, soften it out. You may not notice it on camera, but it is getting slightly softer. I'm not going to go at the top of this cloud too much. Just kind of mess it up just a little bit. Okay, there we go. Now I want to start adding some darkness into the clouds, just to give them a little bit of form. At the moment it's quite nice, but it looks a little bit flat to me, so I just want to start darkening them slightly. I'm going to take some magenta, a little touch of blue, and a little touch of black. It's just a dark kind of a purple colour is what I have, and I'm just going to go along and just add maybe a touch more black. I just want to add that dark bluey grey colour here and there to some of the clouds, you see, just creating different layers in the cloud. So I'm just popping a bit of it on, and then I'm softening it upwards into the cloud above, just with the tip of my brush in little circles. You see what I mean? That creates lovely little darks in the cloud, little layers. I'm up here and I put one or two in up here as well. And this will help, this will all help, just create a little bit of shading on the clouds. Just a touch. I don't want to go crazy now with darks on the clouds, but just one or two, it just gives it a little bit of shadow, and it just helps the clouds to sort of just pop a little bit more, don't you think? And maybe I'll just pop just a tiny bit across some of these. And then again, I'm going to soften with this bigger brush. I'm just going to soften some of them out. And the only reason I'm softening these out is just to lose the brush marks on the cloud. You see, I'm just kind of very gently going over them, softening them away. Just here and there. I'm not going crazy with this, just a little bit. Now, you could, if you wanted to go a further step and add a bit of light onto them as well. You could, if you like. You don't have to, but I think that's not bad. I'm quite happy with that. I might add a little bit of a richer orange here and there in between some of these. So I'm just going to clean my brush again, a smaller brush. Any flat brush will do fine for this as well, okay? Let me take some cadmium yellow and some cadmium red. And I'm just going to mix a slightly warmer shade, maybe a touch of magenta as well. Let's try a touch of magenta, just for anything, I suppose, a little bit of fun. Let's just try it. Now, I do want plenty of red in this. There's more red than anything else in this. Let me just have a look. That's a little bit dark. I'll pick up some Naples yellow, a little bit more cadmium red, a little touch of magenta. And we just take a look at this. Okay, we're getting there. If you find that this is all becoming a little messy, do just clean your brush and go back to the start. clean your brush and start again. Because it will, and it can, get very sort of messy and muddy if you're not careful. So look, I'm just going to pop a little bit of this orange, kind of orangey colour, just through the sky. I'm barely touching the canvas with this now, okay? Barely touching the canvas. And look, if anything else, it just adds a little bit of colour to the horizon. That's all I'm worried about, just adding a bit of colour. And soften it back in. And I'm going to leave it at that for the sky. I think it's just a nice, simple sky. Let's do the lovely mountains. And again, Deborah, you can copy the mountains exactly if you want. I'll make them somewhere similar as well. But it's good practice to just kind of go your own and add your own to it. Now what I'm going to do first is just take a little dark colour and add a little horizon line where I want the water to begin, just as a reference. Okay, so we know we can stop the mountains just there. Let's go and mix up some colour for the mountains. A nice dark colour, some black, some blue, some magenta. A nice dark colour, little touch of magenta just to warm it slightly. It looks black, but it's not quite black. It's like a very dark purple colour. I'll start with this one sort of here. There's a little point on that, isn't there? And then we have a little bit of a circle, just very loosely, and it goes up and out. And as I said before, you can oil your canvas if you like. Sometimes a cheaper canvas can be quite dry and it soaks the paint up very quickly. You can just add a little touch of linseed to it if you like. It's completely up to yourself. Just to dampen the canvas, if you know what I mean. Now, as it comes off, I'm going to soften it slightly just to give it some distance. So a little bit of white into that with a little bit of blue, perhaps, and a little touch of magenta. So look, a nice soft, pinky purple sort of a colour. And I'm going to just go up slightly higher with this one here because my sky didn't come down far enough. But Deborah, you can just bring your sky down further if you like. This is just a kind of a quick way just to show you how I approach this type of a painting. Sometimes you're better off keeping it simple, because if you go too complicated with something and you try to get it absolutely perfect and all that, it can work out not as good as if you just keep it nice and simple like this. Put the colour on, have a bit of fun, don't overthink it. So I'm going to just go up here now and darken this one and come down in front of the other ones. You see what I mean? Automatically and right away you can see that creates a layer of hills off in the distance, doesn't it? Just like that. I'm going to go nice and dark up on the very top of these. I'm taking some black, just a bit of black, mix it in there, and let's go up and create a nice dark canopy on the top of these. Okay, then what I'm going to do, as it comes down, I'm going to just clean my brush very quickly. I'm going to then just add some light blue to create that kind of misty feeling towards the end of the hills. So I'm simply going to just take a touch of phaylo blue with some white. And I'm just, with that, I'm just going to go along the bottom here like this first. Just a little paint, a tiny amount of paint is all you need. And then I'm going to soften it across like this. And I'm going to soften it up into the hills. Okay, you see I'm just kind of swooping it up softly into those hills. And I'm dragging the dark colour down and I'm dragging the light colour up. Just mixing them together ever so gently, like that. And that gives, I think, a beautiful soft kind of a mist, while keeping the tops very dark. So let's just sit back for a moment to take a look. So I'm quite happy with that. I like that, that's quite nice. I think what I will do is just take a touch of white, pop a little touch of white into the distant ones here, just to push them off a little bit more and soften them together where they meet. Look, you're bringing them together, and that gives a lovely mysterious kind of a feeling to the hills, doesn't it? Really makes them nice and soft, and it kind of encourages you to kind of look off into the distance to see what's there. So we're done with the mountains. Next we have a little dark line of trees going across there, don't we? I'm going to switch brushes. I have another flat brush. Okay, I'm going to go with black, a little bit of blue, and a touch of cadmium yellow. A touch. So I'm going for a very dark kind of a greeny, a blacky kind of a green. And I'm simply going to just go along like this and dab, 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 dab in a line, sometimes up, sometimes down, sometimes just straight across. I'm just giving the impression of a little row of trees way, way off in the distance over there. You see, just be nice and loose, nice and free. Scraping the brush, giving it a little bit of a wiggle up and down, side to side. Just create a nice dark row of trees off in that distance and leave it disappear. Just like that, we're done. Now we have trees on this side as well. We might as well, as we're here, fill those in with this brush as well. Same colour. Let's take a little black, some phthalo blue, and some cadmium yellow. So we have a nice silhouette here for these trees. I'm going to start about here, look. Then I'm going to come across. And I'm simply using the brush on its side. Okay, just like that. Just to create a couple of points of trees. You see? Nice and simple. You can just use a simple flat brush for this as well, if you like. Any flat brush just on its side like this will give you lovely little impressions of trees. And fill this in all the way across. Let's go darker, let's get some black, and let's try a bit of magenta as well. Because the touch of pink in this will push it away and create some nice distance in the trees. So already we have a nice little bank of trees just there. And you see that light against the dark then, it really helps, doesn't it? Let's get some black cadmium yellow. And let's come down to this side here. Pop that in, come across, pick up more cadmium yellow, look, and just dab that in, fill in that dark area. And you probably can't see this now, but the hint of green in this really does stand out. I might bring these ones a little bit further out. I think it's a bit further out, isn't it, on the photograph? There we go. I'm just going to grab some cadmium yellow. Let me get some fresh cadmium yellow, and I'm going to add a touch of green onto the tips of those trees, just here and there, using the same brush, any worn rough brush. You could use a fan brush as well, upright, that would look quite nice. Let me just get a touch of that cadmium yellow. It's mixing with the green just a little, okay? And I'm just going to add a little touch of cadmium yellow simply a light green to some of these trees here. Just dab it along. It's just sort of catching light on some parts of the trees just up on top. And then leave it come down. So we have different shades in there. And look, it just adds a little touch of interest. That's really all we're trying to do. Let's go and do the water. So, Deborah, you can see now how quick and easy this was. Nothing too fancy, nothing too complicated. Let's take some white. Let's take some phaylo blue and a touch of magenta. And I'm going to take a touch of black as well. So we have a kind of a soft kind of a pinky grey colour, similar to the clouds. Let's just pop that in. Fill the canvas across with all of this colour. Let's go again. Let's mix a bit more of that colour. A lovely colour. A little bit of magenta, some blue, little white, and a touch of the black. You want a very soft, pinky grey for this. That's the colour I can see. It's kind of a very soft, pinky grey. Bit more cadmium red into that. Now, I'll go right up, put that in all the way across. Soften it gently just up into your tree line, or don't soften it if you don't want. It's completely up to yourself. And we'll be adding a lovely warm orange colour to this very soon. So I have my basic water in. Now we have to start adding lots of that lovely kind of orangey colour into it. I'm going to go back to my medium brush. You can use any flat brush that you like. It's up to yourself. Let me get some more white on my palette there. Just make sure you have plenty of paint on there. Good idea. And let's take some cadmium red. Find a clean part now to paint. Let's go down here. Look, use this piece here. Cadmium red, lots of naples yellow, some cadmium yellow. Now my cadmium yellow has a bit of green in it already, so I need to be careful. Keep it nice and clean. I had this lovely salmony kind of a colour. Okay, on my brush. Let's have a look. Yeah, that's not bad. I like that. Just go around my trees quickly. And then let's just cut across in front of those trees with that colour. And what I'm doing here is a kind of a hit and miss type of effect. So I'm just kind of going along. I'm not painting everything on the canvas. I'm just leaving it sort of merge into that bluey grey here and there. Look. Just creating some movement on the water. That's all you need to do. And we will get our palette knives out in just a moment now as well. Don't worry about the trees. We're going to fix all of those. In fact, I think I'll pull some reflections down on some of these trees. Let's take some of this green colour, let's add a bit of cadmium red to it just to make it more browny green. And let's just simply pull some of those down like that. You see, nice and simple. A little bit of green in there. Nice and simple, not too fussy. I'll take a bit of black just in by the tree line, just to make it slightly darker, and drag them down very gently. Now, take my big brush again, I'm just going to pull all of those down like that. And then very gently across. See? Doesn't that create some lovely little reflections off in the distance? Nice simple little reflections, just like that. Okay, I'm going to go back to this colour. I'm going to take some more Naples yellow in that, and a little cadmium red. And with that, I'm going to just start adding some really light brightness off in the distance. So you see the way we have that lovely glow sort of coming across the water from outside. I want to get that effect in under these trees. Don't worry about reflections, just go over those. And just drag it across. Let the brush flick off of the canvas. Here and there, look. Just picking up, just with the edges of the brush, picking up some of that colour. So I'll stop and I'll take a quick look. I'll just sit back and take a quick look. Okay, that's looking quite nice. I'm going to now get my palette knife. I need to get some Naples yellow on my palette. Just reload your palette bit by bit. A lot of people fill their palettes with colours. I don't think there's any need really. It's just a waste of paint. Let's get some cadmium red, some Naples yellow, and a touch of cadmium yellow as well. Come on, let's have a bit of fun with this. The cadmium yellow just really brightens it up. Add some real warm sunshine colour into this paint. Little touch of cadmium yellow makes a big difference. Okay, with that colour, see that beautiful warm, rich, yellowy colour we have? You don't have to do this if you don't want, Deborah, okay? You can just do it your own little way if you like, or you can leave it. It's up to yourself. But I think, let me just try this now. I think that's quite nice. See that nice, rich, bright, sort of yellowy colour that we have. Scrape it across our canvas. Maybe a touch more red, perhaps. Needs to be a bit more red, doesn't it? I think, just a little. Nice little warm kind of a pink, an orangey pinky colour. Now, let that drag across, hit and miss. You're hitting and missing the canvas, here and there. Just to create little ripples in the water, or you could just call it a bit of texture as well, if you like. Come down, cut across your reflection as well, just a little, just to transfer the colour across the lake. And just keep going as much as you like. It's up to yourself completely how much you want to do. You can do loads or you can do just a little. But I'm kind of thinking about stopping now. I don't want to go too far with all of this. Right, let me stop there. And I'm going to get my big brush or your blender brush. Just soften the knife marks off of some of those. Just make it slightly softer as you come across. Now already, can you see that beautiful light on the water? Isn't that wonderful? Now you can do the same and add a bit of dark into this. Now you're probably thinking, yeah, I need a bit of darkness just here, don't I? So let's darken this a little bit. Let's just darken it down a little bit more. Phaylo blue, little cadmium red, plenty of red in this. A dark kind of a plummy grey colour. And let's just add a little bit of darkness here and there into this. Bit more red. I'm going for a warm plum here, because whatever colour you mix into this yellowy colour, it'll go green. So it has to have plenty of red in the colour. Alright, just bear that in mind. Wherever you have a yellowy colour next to a blue, just make sure you put plenty of a red into your mix. and that will neutralize, it'll stop any greens and muddy colors coming out in the painting. That's what I would say. And as you come forward, then we can start adding a little black perhaps. Let's take a bit of black. And I'm simply just mixing it a little bit in and then going directly onto the canvas. Now ideally a small flat brush is perfect for this. I'm just using this because this is going to be softened in anyway. I'm softening all of this together. I'll stop there and I will then again soften this back in very gently. Alright, next I'm just going to go around my trees again, just to make them nice and sharp, nice crisp, sharp edges on those trees. Get some nice dark colour and just dab, 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 dab. Same over here, we just cut down in front of those. I'm just getting rid of these little white lines that we have by the river bank. And there's something else now that we could do. We could sharpen and strengthen some of these reflections again, okay? And then we can pull them down. All these small things make a difference. Pull them down again. Go across them very gently. And lastly, let's take some of this pink colour and cut across in front of those trees. And that just creates a bit of light and it sits them down as well, you see? It just sits them down on the bank. Go through the reflections as well. And that just pushes the reflection back down into the water. Now, isn't that lovely? And there we go, a nice simple landscape, Deborah. You don't have to be all fancy with your landscapes. Sometimes you can just do them nice and quick and free, and they look much better when they're like that sometimes. Little bit of Naples yellow with white finally, just to go across, catch the light on some of them. Really just brings it to life, doesn't it? Just like that. And Deborah, I would say to you, that's all you need to do. I wouldn't go crazy, honestly. I wouldn't go mad. I wouldn't be too particular with everything. Just take your time and have a bit of fun. Try to be loose if you can. Try to be nice and loose, because I find that's the secret. For me, when I'm painting, I find just being nice and loose like this, it really does make all the difference. I'm going to pop a bird in up here. In fact, I pop 3. Because you know they say an odd number is much better than an even number. There we go. 3 little birds flying off. You could also add a little boat into that if you like. That would be quite nice. And there we go. We have a simple landscape done, just like that. I hope you like that, Deborah. And there we are. So my friends, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed that. Nice to paint inside the kitchen for a change today. It's not as warm. It's boiling hot out there. I hope you've enjoyed watching this nice, simple little landscape sunset. Just keep it simple. Have a bit of fun. Try to be nice and loose. Try not to concentrate so much on details and getting everything perfectly. You're better off just letting your brush run away with itself sometimes and just leave it go and see what happens. Sometimes that's the best painting. So I'll see you very soon, my friends. Thank you so much, Deborah. Thank you for your support. And I'll see you very soon again, my friends, on YouTube, here on Easy Oil Painting. Have fun and take care.